All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another DC Worlds Collide video. This is Mr. Squirrel, as always. Glad to have you here. So, I want to talk about a update that you may have seen in your inbox, or not in your inbox, but you might have noticed there was a downloading button on Friday. Um, and that download was because they nerfed the disruptor cannon. The R5, so the rank 5 disruptor cannon, because it had a very unique interaction with Deathstorm. In fact, it pretty much allowed people, it was tested, it was seen that it does superpower damage back to a person, or back to the character. Like if you hit when you trigger it and then you shoot it, it shoots out at the person after they do their ult. It will then have them take a percentage of the damage they're doing if it's superpower damage back to them. And people were using this to essentially just fly through levels of Deathstorm. Like people are like level 40 now, of Deathstorm. And they nerfed it in Deathstorm specifically. And I think they nerfed it right now. And it's working very weirdly on different bosses. This is in a post on the official Discord. And part of the reason I even ranked it up the way I did was because my goal was to get it to R5 so I could just steamroll Deathstorm, right? And I figured this might happen. I just figured it would have been done a little bit more tactfully. How am I going to say this? So I'm going to go through what this post was. So Obito has already commented on this. And I think they just shouldn't have touched it. Right now, it kind of leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. Because it's like, so you nerfed it after the event is over, after people spent money to get everything. I feel like that was very intentional. So it's not as good, anywhere near as good right now as it was. I don't know how they fixed it. It's operating very differently in very different fights. It seems like in PvP, it's exactly the same, but in general, it's not doing what people intended to do, which was to curb stomp Deathstorm, because he does so much damage, so he'd do all that damage back to himself, and you could fly through the ranks of it. Which I'm like, if it's for one boss, if people spent their resources to do that, I don't see why that's a problem. It might not be working as intended, but it's like people found a way to make this work. And I want to highlight some points that people are talking about. And I really want to highlight this point. So let me find it real quick. Okay, so Obito made this point. He said, hey, I'll discuss it with my team, and a few things were going on here we're not happy with. The damage reduction ability was always intended to be a control effect, so it was never supposed to work against boss characters who have immunity control status. This is a core fix that went out, so this is what was changed. However, silence is also a control status, which we believe means characters in other modes who have control resistance. Main stages are silence, but then immune to the damage reflection, which attempts to apply second. This is our leading hypothesis on the oddities of being seen. This is not ideal. So my issue here is that was kind of the point of this thing. So then the whole purpose of this reinforcement is completely like useless. It's moot. It's almost a moot point, like a moot reinforcement. It's like, I want to use this on bosses. I don't understand how I can silence them, but I can't apply the damage reflection effect on them. The silence will still trigger, right? So, however, silence is also a control, which we believe means characters in other modes who have control resistance are silenced, but then immune to the damage. So I don't understand that. So then this thing was always going to be a problem, and it's not a good reinforcement by that. Then it's breaking logic of the game, right? So then I'm very confused by this wording here. This feels like this reinforcement that they released is going against the very mechanics of the game that they're intending it for, because it allows you to bypass specific things, right? So then why release it? Why not change that R5, right? Why release that R5 in that current form when it, I'm pretty sure most players were calling attention to this months prior, not months prior, but like I even was saying this thing can be so broken and like bosses and other things when I saw it 2 months, like 7 weeks earlier. I was saying even at the beginning of that season, go back and watch my Peacemaker video season overview, and I was like, this reinforcement's the thing I'm most excited for because it looked broken, and now they nerfed it. And the thing that I agree is that we need to get the material for it refunded. Um, because if you're fundamentally changing something almost immediately after you released it, then you just need to give everyone compensation for that. And you're going to change it fundamentally what it's doing. And then I've used valuable resources that I could have put to like the Batmobile or Throne or um, Parallax, that I want those resources back because you can't just change something and not compensate people's resources for it. That just will be very problematic. You should not, I mean, it's not that you can't, you should not do that. Um, it's also like people paid for, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to get too far into it. I just don't agree with that stance. But also this wording here that he's explaining is very odd. And I want to highlight something else that someone said before this, after this. And I will say this, Obito, I think you handled, at least I appreciate that you took people's feedback openly and you never dismissed anything. I do want to highlight, I think you're very good at talking to the players. So this is, again, nothing against you as a person. So I want to foreground this before I say anything else. I don't want people to attack him. I don't want anyone listening being like, they're dumb, blah, 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 blah. I don't, I just want to say I appreciate that he is. You, you can say what you want about their processes, but I'm going to say for the interactions I see with him and the community, he is very open to feedback. He's never rude. He is very professional, is my point. And so I do want to just give him credit. He is very professional with people. It seems very nice. He seemed like a very nice person. Um, and so again, nothing against your character at all. But I want to highlight a point here, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want to be rude when I say this either. And you didn't, but this feels like something that really should have been tested way before it was released. 7 weeks earlier, people saw this thing being broken. Um, and why wasn't this addressed weeks earlier, or just change the R5 on it, right? Um, R5 is the rank 5 of it. Because this shouldn't have made it through if this was going to be a problem. Now, I have a problem with you changing it this right after it's over, because now people invested in it, and some people got to like used it to it in its quote unquote broken status and got really far, and now we're getting resources that us peasants can't get anymore. Um, while all of us now are just sitting at like a rank 4, and I'm like, why the hell did I invest anything in this thing if it's not that good anymore? You see what I mean? So it felt like the rank 5 was truly busted. If here's an easy fix, you give everyone back the yellow, whatever the rank up materials, and then you call it a day. Simple as that. Just give everyone like 25 of those things. Who cares? Because I'm just not okay with this. Um, Maybe they'll change it next week. They'll figure something else out too, and maybe it'll be fine. And I'm overreacting right now, but I want people to know, because there was no announcement for it, if it's acting differently, this is why it's changed. Um, and I think this is indicative of a broader issue that we need more testing on these things, because let's be real, there are a lot of bugs in this game that are not getting addressed. This feedback has a ton of the bugs that need to be fixed. Um, And I think bugs are primarily what's causing a lot of frustration right now. Like a good example, Raven is not giving shelter after her revive. That should be a very easy fix. Maybe there's a weird interaction it's having with other people. I don't know. My point here is that you someone asked him, I was like, why isn't there other testing of these things, right? And I think that the team really does need to invest in a small group of players that are testing out bugs, um, and it in like have a test server for players to like just test it out, right? Because I do think we have a lot of very skilled players in this game, and I think moving forward, devs, I think right now we are in a very much a lull of this period of this game, which at the same time, here's my general thought. Here's what I think. You have about 8 months. Why I say 8 months? Because now this might not be what people want to hear, but the we have no big shows and things coming out for a little bit. You need to use this time to iron out the bugs, get the mechanics of this game figured out, right? You how you differentiate yourself from other games like this is you need to actively engage with players. You want to change how the perception of this game, you engage with players. Now, I'm not going to say all player feedback is good feedback. Sorry guys, just being real. Not all feedback is good feedback. But when you get players that have been playing this game for a long time to test things out, it also takes off some manpower from the team because you have players testing it. They can create a list of bugs. This is why betas exist. I'm not saying this game is in beta, but it would benefit you greatly to have a group of players that is testing things out along with your team and give feedback, because this would have been caught way earlier and your team could have, tested it. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here at all. This is not what I'm trying to do. But I can also, like, if there's a test server, we can showcase characters. It's easier to get to highlight for players, like, look how cool this character is without saying, like, it sucks, whatever, right? But you get people bought in because, like, YouTubers and content creators and Instagram, I don't know, maybe I'm old, guys, I don't know, like, TikToks, are how people get these, like, you get the game out there, right? You showcase how cool these characters, because I'm like, for instance, Swamp Thing, great character, for the Poison team. In general, he's very specific niche to this Poison team, but he's fundamental and critical to the Poison team. But this issue, I don't want to highlight this issue only. I want to talk about this in lieu of, and I see a lot of player complaints, and I don't like being, for me personally, y'all, I don't like being in a negative space. I don't like being there. So I don't like to stay and being like, woe is me, or, this sucks. Because I think it just impacts my mental health. And so rather, I'm trying to take more of a positive spin on this, look at the silver lining. And I think devs, and I know you have a plan for 2020 up to 2027, but I really think if you want to differentiate yourselves from other games in this genre, because there are a lot of other games in this genre, be more communicative with the players, and that will differentiate this game from other games, right? Because you need to find the niche in this universe of games here. And I think one way is that you become more active with the players, which is something that we don't see a lot of companies doing. And that's on you if you want to do that or not. And I think you can really differentiate yourself from them and, revitalize this game in a way that would engage players, because then you have like, hey, why did Hoyoverse, why did all of these games become super duper popular? Because word of mouth is incredibly important, right? And you get more engagement from the players. I would love to actually even do an interview with y'all. I would love to chat with you at some point in time. on a video, and I think it'd be cool. I ask you your interests, and I know you've kind of talked about this, but I think it'd be cool to like talk to you. But I think you need to differentiate yourself from other companies by being more player oriented. And I think your team really needs to think about how can we invest players in this and make them part of the process. This is, I think, truly how, players want to feel like they're a part. Now, I'm not saying all players, but I'm saying like a select few that are very far into the game, that understand the mechanics of the game, that know how the game operates, that can help the team. I think that will help alleviate a lot of these issues because, as you said in a previous post, you don't know all of the bugs in the game because, again, you guys are making a game, and then it will help you because that way developers can develop and players can play. I want to use this issue as more of a positive framing and talk through it in this regard because I don't think, again, I'm not blaming the devs. I think they have a lot on their plates. I just do, but I think players can really help you in this stance, and I think your team should allocate resources to do that. That's all I'm saying. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if your energy disruptor is not functioning properly, or it's like weirdly interacting right now, this is why. So I want to call attention to this, but I want to frame this in a way that we're not like pitchforks and all that, because I really don't think pitchforks is the way to go about anything. I think calling attention to it, holding high standards, and really trying to push for higher levels of player engagement and feedback and inclusion in this process is how this game can truly be successful. And I think using this issue as a way to further substantiate the point that we need more interaction with the team, especially players that are like really have in-depth knowledge of the game to give you help you out. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. That's my thoughts. I hope this kind of, and I think we should push for this. I think this will help differentiate this game. I think, especially right now, DC, we don't have any new projects coming out for a little bit. This is the time to do this because you don't want to sit there when the Lantern season comes out. You don't want the game to be like, a bug-ridden mess. You want it in a great state because then, Lanterns comes out, people want to play with the Green Lanterns. Oh, and then this game has, is really good at aligning itself with what's happening in the universe, in the DCU universe. Just saying, I think this could be a way to make this work. I just want to push for player testing. That's it. All right, well, I hope this video helps. And as always, remember, failing is just your first attempt at learning.